Hello everyone, this is Robert and this is the finished Crippling Depression. This is going to be the last and final version. I'm not going to do any more changes to this, and when it's done it will be retired and I will never again have this configuration, so sad. But in this little short video I just kind of want to give you a quick overview of the final look and just kind of talk about anything that I missed in the previous video. So let's get a closer look at this and discuss the final version of Crippling Depression. So here is a closer look at Crippling Depression. I'm going to take off this top panel because there's a glare. Here we go. So I'm actually filming this video, let's see, Friday, the couple days before the competition. So the thing about making these videos is I always have to kind of plan that in the full build. So I have to get the build kind of finalized enough to where I can actually show it to you. So that's always kind of interesting. But tomorrow, starting tomorrow, this will be in the competition. So by the time you watch this video, most likely the competition will be ending or will have ended. So we will see how that goes. But you get the luxury of being able to see how this is done before I do, because at this time I don't know how it's doing, but you do. Isn't that crazy? So anyway, this is the final version of Crippling Depression. There's only a couple things really to talk about. We've got a new weapon up front and then this lovely new paint job. Let me kind of slide it to the side so you can see it continues all the way along the edges. And a couple people, I posted this on Instagram, so, you know, follow me on Instagram, maybe it's for some interesting content. People were asking how I did this, and my typical painting routine is clean everything off with Dawn dish soap. You definitely want to use some kind of Dawn dish soap. You got to get all the oils and cleaning residue off of it, especially for anything that's tapped. You're going to have, you know, some tap magic or whatever left on there, and you want to get all that grease and gunk off of there. So clean every part really good with Dawn. Then I do 2 coats of spray paint, really thin, just kind of, you know, really quickly go over it, get a nice thin coat, and then just let that sit overnight, like 15 minutes in between each coat. Then overnight, I will wet sand with 600 grit and just barely rubbing along it, just kind of get the sheen off a little bit and any high spots, any bumps, things like that. 600 grit, wet sanding over top of that, and then repeat the 2 more steps. And then that's it. That is your paint. For these actual lines, these are actually laser etched. So what I do is I actually take 2 layers. I have the outline of the part, which I of course have in SolidWorks. So I take the outline, I laser the outline with blue painter's tape down on my print bed, then you can peel that away. Now you have a nice jig or outline for the part to be sat down, and then you just readjust your Z height and then just laser off the paint. So this is really nothing more than just lasered off spray paint, and I think it looks pretty darn cool, and I followed all the contours down the sides as well. So, interesting little trick to do. So let's spin this around back. So here is the new wedge mounting system, and as you can see, they don't flip up very much. So yeah, let's talk about configurations next. So for this competition, I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I am not going to be running the overhead bar. That was a interesting experiment, but I think it was just an experiment. I'm kind of done with that. This spot being able to not self-right is a problem. So I'm going to be running this rear configuration, and I have 2 wedges. I've got my thin wedge. This is about an 1/8 inch wedge ultimately, and you can see it sits on there like about like that. It does a pretty good job at scraping the floor. So the whole point of Crippling Depression is not to get under the other robot with the wedge. That is what the weapon up front is for. The weapon only has about 50 to 75 thousandths of an inch between it and the floor, and I can actually drop that down to about 20 thou with another spacer. So that's going to get under any wedge. This isn't for that. This is just for deflection. So I've got this. If the weapon dies and I need to run weaponless, I've got the big wedge. This is a 1/4 inch titanium, and this is a really heavy, thick wedge. So if, for whatever reason, the weapon system dies and I'm still in it, I can just switch to this. This is gonna, be a pretty big annoyance, I think. It's taken a lot of big hits, as you can see. Additionally, I don't have them yet. They should be showing up here hopefully any minute. I can also replace these guys with some long forks. I have some AR 500 forks that I can put in this place, and the weight is about the same as this and this wedge, the smaller wedge there. So I can replace this whole system with forks. The forks were really cheap from Send Cut Send. I just got them kind of with everything else. So I have that option as well. But configuration-wise, that's really all there is to it. I'm just going to do the standard configuration, and I'm going to bring my other weapons, but this is going to be the only weapon I actually bring. So let's talk about that then. So here is the new weapon disc. All my other weapon discs had the teeth pretty much sheared off and really didn't have any bite. So this is the new one, and it's flopping around a little bit because it's not actually on there right now. It's just kind of loosely setting. So this was made by Send Cut Send. This is AR 500. This came out to about, I think, $85 or something like that, which is pretty cheap. It's a fraction of the price of my other weapons. And this is kind of the new design that everyone is doing with this little kind of tooth up here. It has a little bit of a negative rake angle. Can you see that a little bit better? So a little bit of a negative rake angle. The lines actually intersect somewhere around here rather than the normal intersection at the central axis. It doesn't have a ton of bite. Let's see, I want to say that that is, let's see, I forgot. It's about 3/4 of an inch, so it's not that much. Why don't I have more bite on it? Well, this weapon can only be about 1/2 inch thick, and the diameter is limited by the wheels. You can see just how close that actually gets to the wheels. This is fine. This is Crippling Depression. Everything's very close tolerance. So I can't really go any bigger than that. So I'm limited to this outer dimension. This, I could make it smaller, thus making the tooth bigger, but then these weight savings or weight balancing holes end up getting kind of infinitely small, and I can't make the holes big enough to balance out the weight of the tooth. I've tried this. This is about the best balance I have between the actual tooth size and the weight of this. As soon as I make this diameter smaller, this is way underweight. So this is just kind of balance between them, and this should hit about the same amount of kinetic energy as my other weapons, but I should get a little bit better engagement with this. And the other nice thing is I can just reverse the motors, and I can have a tooth on that side or a tooth on that side. My previous weapons only had one tooth option, which kind of sucked. So I think that's pretty much all I have to say about Crippling Depression. Check the links down below. I have links for the original videos, the original builds. Check out the whole playlist for this. And I also have the updates that I've done to the drive and the weapon and everything else. So yeah, this will be the end of Crippling Depression, but not really. I actually have an idea for what to do with this bot after it gets retired. We'll see if that actually comes to light, but it should be kind of cool. So be on the lookout for that. Check out my Instagram, check out my Facebook, all that social media garbage. Hit the bell, subscribe, whatever. Do what you got to do. I'll be back with other videos. Right now, I'm actually just kind of packing up. I'm going to go over and check in for safety, and tomorrow I'll start the fights. But I thought it'd be a good idea to show you a list of common things that I bring to a competition. I've got everything kind of packed up behind me, so I'm just going to kind of rummage through. So be on the lookout for that video probably this next week. So as always, thanks for watching. Check me out in the next videos, and I'll see you later. Bye.